There we go. Let's get our Facebook folks in here. We can kick it, rock and roll, get the wheels spinning, get them rolling, killing it. Boom, and one more. Come on, there we go. Boom. Welcome in, welcome in. It is Wednesday morning. Gosh, I'm losing track of the days. It's time for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendell, joined by Erick Trickel. Erick, good morning to you. Your mustache doesn't look so mustachy today. I don't know if it's the lighting. Did you trim it up? What's going on?
It's probably lighting. I didn't do anything with it.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, I miss it. I'm excited. I think you definitely want to just at some point just the mustache. But winter's right around the corner here. Are you keeping? Is the beard here to stay? It's obviously the summer's the most annoying time. It's definitely more of a winter look typically. Is this the new Erick Trickel, or is it are we gonna see a fresh baby face here at some point?
I don't know. I've been contemplating shaving it. It's starting to get rather annoying. You mentioned the mustache. There's some long hair there that just gets in my mouth or gets in my nose and just tickles my nose. Really bothers me. So I've been contemplating shaving it, or trimming it down. But the wife loves it, so I haven't touched it just yet, and still debating on at one point do I upset her and just shave it all off.
Yeah, I get that. I just keep it, at a trim. We do have the little kid has a haircut today, so we'll see how that goes. Last time he was good, but it's with toddlers. Last time doesn't mean anything. It could be completely different experience this time. So we'll see how it goes. But we do want to say hello as people are trickling in the chat here, hanging out with us this August 13th. We got our guy David Yunkin says talking about our topic. I love how David always jumps in with just his thought on the whatever the title is of the show. So we're talking about Broncos' second joint practice, sticking out against the NFC West to play in the intriguing Arizona Cardinals, I guess is how I'll put them. They're interesting. And he says what's interesting for him and what he's watching for is the offensive line and all the starting players on offense. So it's a good number there. I think you're talking the depth of the offensive line as well. And yeah, we'll definitely get into it. We got Dave Glassman in the house saying, where are my Broncos book clubbers? Sure they're around, but we're also looking for where are our MHH members. Become a member of the MHH YouTube team. Become a member out there. Just like our guy, of course, Dave Glassman there. You can see that little symbol next to his name there. On our stream, it becomes up green as well. Your name is green. So make sure you guys join Dave. And yeah, plenty of things. Kelberman's Corner was yesterday. I'm sure there's more on the horizon as well. Chad's talked to me about stuff right now. I'm in the thralls of packing up the house and getting ready for a move here in a little, God bless, a little less or a little over a month. I'm excited to move to Denver, but I am very sad to leave Seattle. I love it out here so much, but that's okay. Can always come back and visit and stuff. It's a great place to visit. The mountains specifically. David Yunkin, I could never grow a beard or a mustache. I typically, I wish I had more fill in here. It's like now it's like I hate it. It kind of looks like a goatee. It's like I can't do anything about it. I guess at least I have something there, and it does go down kind of the neck beard, but like the actual growth, not as much. I also don't have the hairy back or the hairy chest, so I guess that's good or bad, depending on whatever. My wife doesn't like the hairy chest though, so easy maintenance. David coming in here. Greetings. We can talk more about body hair if you guys want. We'll do it for super chats though. $20 and we'll show. David coming in here. Greetings to all of you from Aurora, Colorado. David, I'm heading out that way myself. That's my wife's going to be working at Anschutz. I have a hard time pronouncing it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to figuring out the area and getting the kid in daycare. And I got to find a job. That's next. Sentinel Supreme 5859 says, morning, gents. I have returned. Yes, you have, Sentinel. Good to see you. I've been watching the pods while I work out. Heck yeah. What have you been working on, Sentinel? Is it just any goals right now? Let us know in the chat. I need to get back into the lifting as well. We got a bunch of free weights that probably going to sell before moving, just so we don't have to move them and reset the gym in Denver, but we'll see. But I need to get back into it. I need to work on that lower body to protect the joints long term. But yeah, Sentinel, that's great to hear. Always good to be moving your body. Make sure you're getting your fiber and your protein to match that as well. You can't lose weight or hit your goals if the nutrition and diet isn't matched with it. Michael, good to see you. This is Michael Ronquillo coming in over on the YouTube side of things. How can I tell? Talking about the handsome facial hair. Look at that mustache. I can see that even though the picture is like half the size of a dime. I can see that mustache coming through. He says, good morning, everybody on the Mile High Huddle podcast. Go Broncos. Good to see you. It does kind of throw me off that we have now these like usernames rather than the actual names. I don't know if I love it or not, but it's kind of fun to see everybody's fun names. Jamal Killings, I know that one, of course. Morning Broncos Country. Got another member coming in. See, you guys, there's plenty of us. Make sure you join. It says, hey, fellas, I didn't hear much about how Bailey fared from the joint practice or Saturday's game. Eric, have you heard anything about Bailey in the joint practice or Saturday's game?
From the joint practice last week, I haven't heard much, but as for the game, watching it, he wasn't good.
Can you add on to that?
Just the way his run fills were off, he just consistently seemed to be hitting the wrong lane. But that may be just a miscalculation on my part of figuring out what their run lanes are, what their run disciplines are. And then in coverage, he was fine in coverage, but we've come to expect he was decent in coverage last year and take that step forward. And then special teams was another area where he needed to, improve, even though he was a core special team player last year. He wasn't great at it. I don't remember
there's a reason that immediately Sanders seemed to replace him in special teams.
There's a reason for it. Yeah. And I can't remember how many snaps he played on special teams, but it wasn't great either. So it's just a matter of getting it all put together and seeing it. He's done it in most practices, just didn't translate to the game. And as for joint practice, I didn't hear much specifically about how Bailey did.
He did have a good bout there about a week ago in Broncos camp, but I don't know. We'll see about him. Even if he becomes a average level linebacker in the league, or even let's even add it slightly below average, you can get by. That's great depth, first off, but for an undrafted free agent, but you can get by for a year. So we'll see what the Broncos do. They're going to have some guys like that step up just to fill in what the roster structure looks like. Even with the cost-controlled rookie quarterback, you still have all these big paid guys. So you really have a lot of value when you can find those undrafted guys that can fill in for a couple of years, even if they're not plus players. I'm not saying Bailey can't be. Obviously, came from Fresno State and was a safety that transitioned to linebacker. So always looks smooth and a little better in coverage. It is the taking on the runs, getting off blocks, gap filling that is a work in progress, I guess. So we'll see. Ideally, we don't see him this season. It does seem like right now, I'd had to bet that Justin Strnad would probably be the first guy off the bench as opposed to Bailey, even though obviously there's excitement for Bailey if Singleton or Greenlaw did miss time. But, there's hope for Bailey as well. And he does seem like right now he's probably a lock to make the 53. But we'll see. I mean, he does have competition from Kareem Reed, I think, as well. Kansas undrafted free agent linebacker who out of the three they brought in has been generating the most consistent buzz. Not necessarily like, killing it. Turner as well? Okay, I've heard a lot more Reed than Turner.
Yeah. I've heard more about Turner than Reed outside of the interception Reed had in the game. I heard basically one good thing from practice about him, which was another, good play in coverage. But Turner has been just such a force against the run, both between the tackles and outside of the tackles. That's been just consistently remarked about him to me anyways.
Okay, well, good to hear. The more the better. So thanks, Chase, one of our members, of course, hanging out with us. We got Jake coming in here, says good morning, hope you all have a wonderful day. I got a cold from my kid. He was dripping snot Sunday and Monday, and I washed those hands. I washed my hands, but touching toys, just handling him constantly, food, whatever, his dishes. Woke up this morning with a slightly sore throat, and my right nostril is cement shut. So hopefully that's not a too much of a problem. Hopefully this is as worse as it gets, but we'll see. But good to see you, Jake. And start off to a wonderful day. Sentinel's working to get bigger. Good stuff. Derek Wolf works out in my gym. I need to get lifting again, but mainly for my core and everything. Once moving to Colorado, I am very, very interested in climbing all 58 of the 14ers. And I'm 33 for those keeping score at home. And that means I need to protect my knees, which means Russian split squats, Romanian deadlifts, lunges, all that good stuff with a good balanced core as well. I'm built more, Eric. I don't know if you remember standing next to me. I'm definitely built more for upper body because I'm 6 foot 6'1", but my pant length is only 32, which most people my height are 34. So I'm torso. So I'm definitely built more for upper body, but it's not what I love doing. I love being outside and on my feet and my legs. We had Chase asking if he'd seen Derek Wolf around Sentinel. Derek Wolf, that's a he'd be somebody to lift with for sure. Maybe not. Maybe he's a little too intense. Roy Osborne, good morning. Hope we have a better audition this weekend in preseason. That's crazy to say, Roy, because Denver, spanked the 49ers. What was it? 33-7, or I don't even remember what
30-9.
30-9. Same difference. They spanked them, but the first team unit didn't leave anybody with the warm fuzzies. So again, does it matter? Does it not matter? We talked about it a lot yesterday, Monday morning. It matters, but I think it's more filling in the gaps and building a narrative and like hindsight and retrospection than it is very useful information as a prognostication going forward. So as long as they stay healthy, that's so boring, but that's my big takeaway. If they can stay healthy and avoid the injuries, that's a win for me, and also stay out of trouble. But what am I taking away from preseason? The internal hierarchy of these players, what their roles are against each other versus necessarily how they look versus their own teammates or even preseason as well. I'm looking for where the coaches are slotting these guys. I think that's actually the more valuable information.
Yeah, it's about the evaluation of the players as you are putting together a 53-man roster. And as you said, projecting their roles based off of what we see and what they do with them. And I mean, you do want to see how it translates into game, but there are so many, variables in that game that you don't always necessarily get to see what you're specifically looking for, which is why a lot of coaches prefer those joint practices where they can control a lot of those variables. So it does come down to staying healthy. You want to get out of the game staying healthy. You don't want to, you don't want to go out there and look terrible like the first unit did, but it's preseason and it's your first game back, and we'll see what they do if they play in game 2, because Sean Payton's unsure if they'll play due to some scheduling and flight stuff that happened when coming back from San Francisco. So it's all up in the air, and it's not like it's regular season where looking bad actually matters. The win-loss doesn't matter in the preseason. So it's all about the evaluation and building off of it, finding what you need to work on and working on fixing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So preseason, it does matter, but staying healthy is probably the key overall. And I mean, for the fans feeling good too, it'd be good for Denver to go out and beat up on the Cardinals, just for the momentary happiness, which is sports at the end of the day. We got lunch tray coming in here. Says good morning from Arkansas. First time chatter, found y'all last season. Excited to keep up with y'all this season. Go Broncos. Well, excited to have you out there in Arkansas. Appreciate you. I'm a Midwesterner at heart. I'm a mountain man out here now, and I will be in Colorado. But there's the Buffalo River in Arkansas. Looks unbelievable, and I do love kayaking, floating. So hopefully one day make a trip down and do maybe a multi-day thing along the Buffalo River. I think it might be the longest unobstructed river in the country. So I think it's a national preserve too. But yeah, that looks pretty darn cool out there in the Ozarks. Yeah, Dave watching me here says, don't forget the back squat. Of course. I mostly do free weights at home because that's where I have time to do stuff. But no, that's definitely important. We got Quentin coming in, one of our members, of course. Good to see. Yep. Colin Gus says Bonitto got hurt in about 6 snaps. Pay the man. I mean, he's been healthy so far to his career to date. I can't remember any other injuries. He might have had something his rookie season, maybe. I cannot remember, but I think if there was a worry there, we'd hear something. Maybe not, though, as Sean Payton keeps things pretty close-lipped. But I think if there was a worry with the Bonitto contract stuff, there'd be something out there.
Yeah, he is dealing with the little foot injury that he suffered, but the contract stuff, it'll get taken care of when it gets taken care of. It's the holdup isn't necessarily the Broncos side of things. It is more so on Bonitto's side of it. They are waiting on a couple other extensions for edge rushers to get taken care of. They're trying to raise the floor so they can help raise how much Bonitto can ask for. There is some hesitancy from the Broncos to pay him as much as they're expecting him to ask for, but they've had little conversation up to this point just because Bonitto's camp is waiting.
And Zach Stevens over at DNVR has said repeatedly that he's heard from Bonitto's camp that he would accept a 4-year, $25 million per contract. So 4-year, $100 million. I'm not sure if that's. I'm not doubting that Zach's been told that. I'm not sure if that's the reality of what's actually going on with the conversation between those guys. That could just be, using a source and putting something
Yeah.
out there. But we'll see. It'll all come out in the wash here pretty soon. And Scott made a good point last night. When you're starting to dabble in 28 million per year, which is that like second tier of contracts, the Brian Burns, Josh Hines, Allen of edge rushers, the franchise tag right now I think is 27.9. So it'll obviously be a little higher next season. But if the Broncos want, they do have the franchise tag in their back pocket, which is not great as far as flexibility with the salary cap. But again, it is a card they do have that they can play if they have to, if you're talking about 28 million per.
The two things on that is, one, if there's been conflicting reports about what he's asking for. There's some out there who've been saying he's looking for 30 plus, 33 plus, around 33 per year, which just goes to show there's a lot of conflicting information that comes out about contracts, because a lot of agents, they'll play it, and people in Bonitto's camp could be leaking 25 million and others could be leaking 33 million, just testing waters a little bit. And that's one way that agents get information from other teams about what they would be looking at to offer their players, since they can't, always directly ask. So they do that. They go, skirt the rules a little bit through different ways. And then as for the franchise tag, it is a useful tool, but there is one issue with it that we're seeing more and more relevant when teams use it, is as soon as you use that franchise tag, you now have to pay more than than 2 years of the franchise tag in the first 2 years. That is what they've become asking for, is that you're going to pay us more than the 2 years of franchise tag combined. And that second year shoots up because it's a percentage raise based off of what you got the previous year as already. So it's already looking at a big raise. So it would be problematic for the Broncos to go that route with Bonitto, with how the edge rusher room is and the amount of edge rushers that are eligible for a contract extension after the season. I think that they would be taking a little bit more risk if they wanted to play the franchise tag game. If they wanted to wait until January, February, early March before the start of the year to get a contract extension done, that I can understand. I just think the franchise tag has kind of been removed as an option. And last thing on that is, if Bonitto's camp was willing to accept 25 million per year, a deal would be done already.
That's what I thought as well when I heard those numbers. Like, well, if that's out there, why wouldn't that just be already agreed upon? But I don't know. We'll see. Good to see David saying, please remember to click the bell. Like, thanks, go Broncos. Yeah, click the thumbs up. And Quentin says he still has a hard time stopping the run. So does Brian Burns. So does Josh Hines Allen as well. Those are more your speed slender rushers. And Bonitto has been able to close the gap a little bit more. Now, granted, some of the stats, 1 year sample, it was the garbage time stuff, the unblocked stuff. We'll find out a little bit more this season what normalizes with the sample. But when you have Surtain and the depth the Broncos have the defensive line, Jonathan Cooper, who along with Troy Franklin, I feel like has been getting some of the most positive buzz of anybody in camp from what I've heard. So there's options there. But yeah, he's not Myles Garrett. He's not going to get paid like Micah Parsons. He shouldn't get paid like Max Crosby. But he's still probably, in my book, a 25 million per year guy, because what he does do is the most valuable thing you look for from an edge rusher. And he's also, to his credit, he has improved every single year as far as the edge setting. Like when he came in rookie season, there's a reason that he had a harder time getting on the field. Now, he's not going to be perfect. But yeah. And okay, JB, thank you for correcting me here. If I misquote something, and I talk to Zach every year, went to the combine, he's a good guy. So I don't mean to put wrong information out there. Say you would offer 25 million a year that were given, not that it's been offered. What I heard, and I think it was just on the DNVR show when I was driving back the other day, I'd have to ask Zach, and I think is it ZAC, but either way, I could be wrong. I think he said along the lines that if 25 million per year was offered, Bonitto and his camp would accept. I think that's almost a direct quote. So that's we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what my takeaway was. Granted, I was driving delirious from a tough hike and little sleep, so who knows? But don't trust me. Ernie Mays, go Broncos country only. Great to see you, Ernie. Gosh, where was I going with this point on this? Regardless, we'll follow the Bonitto stuff. I do want to get into the transition here. Joint practice. Are we expecting Bonitto to partake at all right now? Personally, for me, I come from more of the Sean McVay school of thought, where it's more bubble wrap in preseason with your important players. And if you have any sort of niggle at all, sit down, son. If you're a key piece, you're not fighting for a roster spot or role or anything. We want to see what Jonah Ellis looks like. We want to see what Q Robinson looks like. Can Tillman, who's been a little bit of a disappointment, seems like, take a step forward. So I'm not expecting Bonitto. I wouldn't play him in joint practice or this Cardinal game. Paris Campbell would be a great, not Paris Campbell. Paris Johnson would be both Ohio State guys. Would be a good test for him at left tackle out there with the Cardinals. Really underrated tackle, probably one of the best young up and coming offensive linemen in football. Yeah. But I don't need to see it. We know what Bonitto does. He doesn't need the reps. Stay healthy. Let's see you week one.
If I'm Bonitto, I would be holding at this point. I'd be holding in. You got that foot. You had that foot injury. I'm not risking, making it worse through practice. I'm not risking another injury. You're wanting
especially
to get
what
paid.
He looked like in that one series. Like you showed enough. Yep, you're
okay. I would if I'm Bonitto, I'm sitting out. If I'm Sean Payton, I'm not even leaving that choice up to him. It's you're sitting out. Obviously you still practice, but I wouldn't be, too much of the joint practices. I would let you rest for that day. Wouldn't give you the game. Most starters I wouldn't, see play in the game. Some of them I still would, just because of all that showing in the first one. Want to see if you can get a little bit better out of him. But again, Bonitto played 6 snaps, right, and did what he did. Absolutely disrupted, one series completely. I'd be done with it. And one thing that you said with the Josh Allen, Hines, and Brian Burns, one thing that they do, they're not great run defenders, don't get me wrong, but they do a much better job of using their speed to impact the run game than Bonitto does, which is one area where he still needs to work and do. And if he can get on that level of them, they can be fine with him out there as a run defender. And he's just not quite there yet. Last year he had flashes of being there, still has a little bit of work to go. And the biggest thing is converting speed to power. That's the one big thing that he's really got to get down, and it can help him in both as a run defender and as a pass rusher.
Yeah. Yep. And just having that counter inside move. Yeah. I mean, just I always come back to the picture, but right now he's a really good 99-mile-an-hour. Do you have a slider? Can you work a slider in there? It doesn't even have to necessarily be like a total off-speed pitch, like a changeup. Like, can we have another power pitch to go off of it? Can we start hitting that inside shoulder versus, just speed off the edge or schemed up stuff where you get an alley and you go? So, yeah, we'll see. But he's a damn good player, and very happy to have him. And hopefully it gets figured out here pretty soon. But as far as joint practice goes, what am I looking for right now? Again, talking out of both sides of my mouth. I want it just so the fans can throw them a bone and be a little bit calmer. I hope Bo Nix goes out there in preseason game and joint practice and looks good. Obviously, the Cardinals defense has a bunch of names on it now. They've signed a couple of veterans. They've drafted on that position pretty heavily. Walter Nolan's, I think, injured right now, so I don't expect him. But they drafted Darius Robinson last season. They paid Josh Sweat. They have Dalvin Tomlinson. They have Calais Campbell. Zayvon Collins is a depth player for them. So I'm really hoping that offensive line, obviously, I'm always looking trenches first, but I'm really hoping that Bo Nix goes out there and doesn't have to look like, freaking Patrick Mahomes or prime Peyton Manning or anything, but like consistently winning, getting the ball, moving the ball, going 10 for 12 in team period, the 2 touchdown drives in 2 quarters of action in the preseason game, all that good stuff. And then we can just be like, okay, we're okay. We don't need to worry too much about what's going on.
Yeah, it's not, for me, it's not necessarily what they do, it's how they look doing it. Does Bo Nix look a little bit calmer, less antsy in the pocket? That was one big issue I had. How does he handle, pressure if it comes? We kind of talked a little bit about that on Monday, how he just didn't seem at ease with what the 49ers were throwing at him. How does the offensive line handle it? How does the offensive line look with the run blocking? Are they able to open up a little bit more holes? And obviously, how they look doing it will translate into what they do. Because if the offensive line is doing well as run blocking, and you don't have your 3 interior offensive linemen struggling in the game, you should be running the ball better, which should help you move the ball and put points on the board and score touchdowns. And if Bo Nix doesn't look as antsy in the pocket, it should help. And his placement was better than what it was, then you should be moving the ball and putting points on the board. So it's again, it's not what they do, it's how they do it. It's how they look doing it. And as you said, with Bo Nix, you want to see those things with him, because some of that is our issues that we had with last year. He wasn't great with handling pressure last year. He wasn't great working a true drop back passing game. He wasn't great working the intermediate. And while he did have that one catch to Troy Franklin, I would say that it was more Troy Franklin than it was Bo Nix, with Troy Franklin going and getting a catch that wasn't well placed. So it's all about settling down and seeing those improvements that we wanted to see last year, because in that first preseason game, we didn't see it. Not trying to make it a major deal, but what you are looking for preseason, again, is individual evaluation and seeing growth from young players like Bo Nix from their rookie year to their second year.
Yep. Yep. So we'll see how it plays out. Of course, we do have a super chat coming in here. Thank God. I thought you guys were hating us here for a little bit. So thank Camden coming in. Camden, obviously, because of YouTube changing all the names and everything, you have to let us know what your name was before this. Obviously, Camden, it's not ringing a bell, but you came in last night or Monday morning as well. So we definitely need to show you some love. I don't know if this is the showing the body hair level of money, but no, if you were joining us at the beginning of the show. What's up, Broncos country? If Sherfield continues to play well during preseason and camp, could he have a bigger role during the season and maybe be a part of the wide receiver rotation? 1,000%. And the reason this is part of the conversation for me is that he is a physical son of a gun. He is going to be active because of his special teams value. And where exactly his role lines up remains to be seen, but we have a little Jordan Humphrey kind of missing sample right now. Now, you hope that Pat Bryant can play some of that big slot stuff, but I think with how much outside of Cortland Sutton, I'm expecting just waves of wide receiver. I don't know if there is a wide receiver 2, because they're all wide receiver 2 after, I mean, not caliber, but like role. I'm expecting very even snap distribution between Mims, Franklin, Bryant. Vele is the one right now. It feels a little bit weird with what they've done and with other guys stepping up and everything. But yeah, I think Sherfield can have a role. And I've admitted on here a few times that I've completely overlooked him, but he's been a physical good player for the Broncos right now. And just because the reality that he's going to be active because of the special teams, he's going to have a shot. So we've seen it in camp too, Eric, outside of Cortland Sutton, who's just been the continuous number one. Who's the wide receivers on the first team or the second team? The answer is yes, because they're just rotating everybody a lot. That's a Sean Payton special, and I think that's even amplified by the, lack of a true blue known quantity at wide receiver 2 and 3. You have options, it's going to be rotated.
Yeah, with Sherfield, he was always going to have a role on offense because of his physicality as a blocker. I mean, the moment they signed him, that was one of the big things they highlighted, what he brings as a blocker at wide receiver. Special teams as well. That's what was going to always make him active. That's what was guaranteeing him a roster spot. But now I think you have the question of how much has his role changed? How much has it grown with what he's shown as a receiver? Because he's shown a lot more than what he has ever before. Talking with guys within the organization when they were going through and watching his games before signing him, they didn't see a whole lot there as a wide receiver outside of the blocking, and he's showing a lot more to expand that role. And as to your point, is that's something that I've kind of been saying for a while about wide receiver 2, is it's going to be wide receiver 2 by committee, basically. And that's kind of been what Sean, looking back on it about a month ago, that's kind of what Sean Payton has done. When he hasn't had that clear-cut number 2 guy who's been great, it's been wide receiver 2 by committee, rotating guys, and it's always been matchup-based and situation-based. So it's going to change week in, week out. Pat Bryant will be at some point, and it's tough. I can't remember if it was on a Friday night or one of the morning shows, we had somebody come in and talk about how Pat Bryant might not be active. I think that we're going to see 6 wide receivers active, which is a little tough, but with what Sean Payton does at wide receiver, with all the roles that these guys fill, which are all their own niche roles, I think that we'll see 6 wide receivers active, and then maybe somebody else inactive elsewhere, and hopefully see another guy emerge on special teams as well. Maybe Vele, maybe Bryant, maybe Franklin. Maybe they look at using him as a returner, even though that seems to be Jaleel McLaughlin. They've been giving him a lot of hype for being that returner opposite Mims. But anyways, wide receiver, I think we're going to end up seeing 6 active because of the niches they bring. what Sherfield's doing on special teams, and just hoping somebody else steps up on special teams to go along with Sherfield.
Makes a lot of sense. Camden, thank you so much for the super chat. We really, really do appreciate that. Clayton here on Hey Guys, smash that like button. Appreciate you guys supporting the show and everything. Hope you guys are having a good one. We're going to wrap up here pretty soon. More joint practice stuff here for me, Eric. I know that he wasn't the superstar immediate player last season, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is still a heck of a prospect, and I'm excited to see what he does and looks like versus the Broncos cornerbacks. I hope you get some Surtain versus Marvin Harrison Jr., but I'm just as intrigued by what Barron looks like versus him, what Riley Moss looks like versus him. Apparently, Marvin Harrison Jr. is bulked up this season as well. He's playing a little bit more like an X with some physicality at the top of the routes, which we did not see as much last season. Kind of a disappointment from him. He played a lot more like a Z for the Cardinals, but a little more physical. He's still like 20 years old last year, 21. It's okay. Kind of hard to when Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. look as good as they did when Harrison was, so hyped up. But I'm really excited to see what Marvin Harrison Jr. does and how our cornerbacks look like versus him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious about that as well. I mean, it's a good test for all of them. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a disappointment last year. It wasn't like he was bad. He had a pretty good rookie season. It just wasn't quite expectation level. And again, as you said, when you have Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas go off and do what they do,
and Brock Bowers to a certain extent.
Yeah, and Brock Bowers is to a certain extent as well. When you go out and have them do what they do, and you're Marvin Harrison Jr., you have the name recognition, you have the the top status of it, the top dog status that you have with being the first one drafted of the bunch, and you underperform them. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit of a disappointment, but that's a good test for it. The one that I'm most curious about is seeing the defensive line. We had somebody come in and mention Savion Jones. He had a good game against the 49ers, but it came as a pass rusher. I really want to see him step up more as a run defender, but I really want to see somebody else on this defensive line step up in general. Jordan Jackson had a decent game. He had one good play against the second unit of the 49ers. But that was it. And then he's just absolutely dominated the third and fourth unit. And you want to, when you're looking for a guy to be that fifth, sixth defensive lineman, you want to see a little bit more against the ones and twos. Uwazurike fell flat out there. And it was just a really bad showing from the defensive line in general once John Frankenmeyers and Zach Allen were taken out of the game, and DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach as well.
Yeah, I was disappointed in Uwazurike, but I'm not disappointed as Michael Ronquillo coming in here, joining the YouTube member here. Clayton, we appreciate you over on Facebook, but I think we are definitely making a push to be, and Leroy, appreciate you coming in. And he asked this one, we should have gotten this one, but I think we're definitely making the push to be more YouTube-centric and getting everybody to be members as much as possible. As far as Bo Nix struggling at practice, I think it's been more so that he hasn't put together two awesome practices. He's had a few low light ones. I did appreciate Carl brought it up yesterday that Kay Adam interviewed him after the practice today. So good job out there. And Bo Nix was no, I sucked. Not good enough. Not enough energy, blah, blah, blah. So some, realism there, and the expectations are high. So I'm glad that he has that on himself and doesn't just, blow it off when he doesn't have the best practice at the end of the day. But yeah, I am not too worried about sophomore slump necessarily. I think what could be more concerning and more likely is that what we saw last season is Bo Nix. Everybody, I think there's way too much expectation that, he's going to keep taking steps forward. Second year in the league, he will be that much better. It's possible that from week 8 on, that was his rookie, kind of figuring it out. And then week 9 plus is his baseline going forward. That's simply just possible. You see that sometimes for some guys, especially, older quarterback coming in. You saw, it's a Mahomes when he would have been 24, 25, whatever. He had that MVP season. And then it's not like he's kept getting every single season from there. So, again, the growth is not guaranteed. It's not linear. It's possible what we saw last season at the end is his just average going forward, which is good enough on a rookie contract, in my opinion. Now, is it Super Bowl caliber? We'll see. But if we look back, 10 years from now and we're saying, oh, yep, that was the level and we saw it there, it's possible. I'm hoping for more, and I believe in Sean Payton. He'll tell you that's not what's going to happen with Bo Nix, so I'm more likely to believe Sean Payton, but I can see that happening too. So it's not necessarily a sophomore blues or struggle or regression or anything. It's just like plateaued, which is a possible outcome.
Yeah, and I was having a conversation with somebody who about this, and they asked me this. They asked me a question of, what do you think would be worse? Basically a sophomore slump, not the wording that they used, from Bo Nix, or him plateauing and be what he was for the final, 8-10 weeks of last season, and that just being all he is. What do you think is worse? And as we're going back in this conversation, um, the guy I was talking with brought up the fact that when you see somebody plateau at a level like Bo Nix was, you're in a really dangerous spot of spending big money on a quarterback position who may not do enough for it, um, may not be worth that much in terms of what he's bringing to the offense and bringing to the team in general. So it is concerning. The guy I was talking with and myself, we do expect to see Bo Nix to take a step forward. He has far more questions about how much of a step forward he can take, but there's still room for improvement, and that's one thing, is when you always see these room for improvement, and you have a quarterback like Bo Nix, who, as you said, is going to be praised after a practice and come out and say, no, I was awful. And a coach like Sean Payton and a coach like Davis Webb there, who's working with him directly, is you tend to put your faith in him being improved from last year instead of being stagnant or even taking a step back, because in terms of the sophomore slump, the production may take a slump, but he may actually look better in those areas because of other factors that do affect the production. So it is definitely a concern to just keep an eye on. It's not based off of just not based off of just the 2 preseason drives. It's just based off the whole body as a whole and what Bo Nix can do this year compared to last year, and just a little bit of talking hypotheticals.
Again, I think maybe I misspoke. It's not my expectation that he won't progress, but it's certainly a possible outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Zach Phillips, I don't know. I'm not making too much of the 2 drives. That's not at all what we're saying here. I don't know if you're talking at us about the 2 drives, but we could have Russell Wilson. I don't want Russell Wilson either. I want a top 5 quarterback, but I believe in Sean Payton, and I'm happy to have a rookie cost-controlled quarterback for the team we have right now. We don't have to answer, is he, worth $50 million a year? We're a ways off from that. We got at least 2 years of games. So we'll see how it plays out, and we're hoping for the best, and we'll analyze it as it comes. But not to be too cliche, but we'll try to stay grounded and not too high and not too low. With the 2 drives, some people are absolutely losing their minds over it, and bad practice yesterday. Oh no, okay. I don't know. Is he still healthy? Cool, that's good.
Yeah.
But we'll find out. We'll find out over time. We got to wrap up here. Other joint practice excitement. I'm excited about the young defensive line guys. Long term, Savion Jones made some plays. Excited to see what he can do. Q Robinson has been stepping up more and more, and Jonah Ellis. Also, year 2 for him. I feel like he's a little bit of a forgotten man to some extent, but man, he could be one of the better second string pass rushers in football. So this season, I'm so excited to see them. Yeah, we talked about the quarterbacks already. Also, the young pass rushers and guys stepping up in roles, just keeping that healthy roster churn going.
Yeah, and edge rusher, it's a room that they can be so deep in, and they're just looking for a couple guys to step up. Jonah Ellis being one of them. Had a great game. Hasn't been participating a whole lot in camp or off-season activities as he was working back from that shoulder surgery that he had. So the fact that he came out with limited working time and practice time and did as good as he did, that's a positive sign for him. Dondre Tillman, obviously you wanted to see more. That was a bad game. Hopefully you can see him bounce back. Or Nelson, the new guy that they brought in, he absolutely killed it on special teams, which, hey, if you're going to make a roster as a depth player, special teams is where you do it. And then Andrew Farmer, I don't recall ever even noticing him on defense or special teams. And then the last position that I'm really curious about, and it deals with a lot with what Sean Payton said about it, going back to after the game, and that's a running back, trying to get J.K. Dobbins more carries. I do like a little bit of validation in Sean Payton's comment when he was asked about RJ Harvey and bouncing things outside. He's like, there was one run where he could have been a little bit more patient inside. One, which yeah, I can agree with that after going back over and watching the 7 runs, but of how they're mixing up the running backs and their usage, trying to find that best way to utilize all these guys and who are the 4 running backs that they keep. Again, I think that it's a pretty clear 3, but that 4th one is still up for grabs, even though I think there's a guy who separated himself in Tyler Bidet for that 4th spot. But top ones, Dobbins, Harvey, and McLaughlin.
Oh, McLaughlin. I wish you could quit him. No,
It isn't me. It isn't me.
I know. I'm just teasing you. I'm just giving you a hard time. Finally, for me, it's the interior and just the depth of the offensive line.
Yeah.
We talked about wide receivers earlier, obviously, but Nick Gargiulo continue his outstanding play last year? Because right now, Broncos we talked about on the defensive line a little bit. I'm always very forward team building focus centric, and you have 2 offensive line spots popping up here in the next offseason. One at least, possibly 2. We had hope about, Clay Webb, given his high recruiting profile and some of the highlights. He didn't have a good game, but again, he could just be a redshirt season. We'll go again next season. After that, you got Forsythe, of course. What's going to happen with Truss? Palczewski, maybe left guard option, but Gargiulo was the one who seemed to step up recently. Broncos late draft pick last season, and could he be left guard? I think he did play center in college as well, so maybe there's some center hope. Right now, it seems he's more guard centric, but I wouldn't mind some center reps as well, because if you depth especially, but the more avenues you have to get on the field, the more valuable you have. But I'm looking for the youth on the interior offensive line, specifically Gargiulo, and if he can keep on what we saw last week, and it's more so like long-term health. Could he become maybe that first guy off the bench? Could he push Forsythe off the roster? I mean, stuff like that. I'm curious to watch. So we got our antenna up.
Yeah, and just to be clear with McLaughlin, I'm just going off of what I've heard about him, not my own personal opinions, because for me, I think he should be running back 5 for this roster, but hey, that's just my opinion. I'm not the decision maker, so I'm going to stick with those who are. As for the offensive line, one thing I'm really curious about it is if they start mixing up where they're playing a little bit more. So against the 49ers, only one player played more than one spot, and that was Gargiulo. And only reason why he played mostly at right guard, only reason why he played a few snaps at left guard was because Calvin Throckmorton got hurt and left the game a little bit early, and they hadn't quite switched over to the next unit yet. So he finished out with the second unit, and then when they went to the third unit, they had he had to play a little bit until they brought in the extra guys after that. So I'm really curious about that. But one thing with Gargiulo, same guy I was having the conversation with Bappo next. We were talking about a bunch of different things. Got to the offensive line, and he made the comment that if Ben Powers or Quinn Miners goes down, they have a lot of confidence in Gargiulo starting multiple games for them. So that is eye-popping. Not necessarily that they mentioned Quinn Miners, but Ben Powers, the one that we've mentioned, it was but very likely cap casualty, I think, at this point after the season. If they have confidence in Gargiulo, if he continues rising up, then there's a good chance he is that guy we're looking at to be the starting left guard next year.
That's interesting, because entering this offseason, we probably would have guessed Palczewski, but maybe Gargiulo has moved up to that spot now. Again, can we get some center reps just to get a little bit more options and coverage? We got Kayleon in here. Yo, good to see you. Says, what's up? We're just about to get out of here, Kayleon, so hopefully you can go back and watch the rest of the show. And we got Michael closing us out saying, great show today, Nick and Erick on Mile High Huddle podcast. Go, Bo Broncos. Go, Michael. Appreciate you coming in, also doing that on the YouTube side of things as well. Joint practice, the number one takeaway. Everybody stay with me. No injuries. That's the big one. After that, everything is going to be, A-okay. We'll overreact because it's the information we have to go off of. Just to not the royal we on that one, the collective. But yeah, stay healthy. And one positive for the Broncos, I also still do the shows with Scott, but covering the Falcons. Falcons are in joint practice right now with the Tennessee Titans. They look freaking horrible, Eric. The Titans look disastrous, I guess. Like, even the people who are beat writers there, they're like, oh no. Like, the people, the state media for the Titans, they're like, guys, you need to sit down for this one. I'm not excited. Cam Ward's drifting 12 yards back in the pocket. The offensive line still looks messy. Somebody in the Falcons chat came in today. They were number 2 in total defense. Okay. They were like 31st in points. So yards don't score points. It's a terrible indicator for a team. Yards per play, maybe, but yards themselves, not so much. So
have you, on that
go
note,
ahead.
have you seen the overhyping of Ward from his first throw? The one to Calvin Ridley where Ridley was.
No. Nope.
I saw a couple, Titans fans sitting there going off. He threaded the needle. Dude was wide open. He didn't have to drop it over and under, over linebackers, under safety. Dude was wide open, and they're sitting there going off on this. But every time I hear something about the Titans, the more confident I am that the Broncos should easily handle business in the season opener.
I'm not too worried. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, guys, we're going to get on out of here. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. You guys are great. Thank you for everybody who's joining the Mile High member stuff. Make sure you become a member over on YouTube. That helps us a heck of a lot. You can gain that XP as well. So make sure you comment on that. Become a member. Follow Eric and I on Twitter. Eric's at Erick Trickel. I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also follow us at the MHH Pod as well as at Mile High Huddle. And subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube, like we always like to say. Also, if you're one of those people who is busy, I have commutes all the time. I walk the dog 3 to 4 miles every day. So I listen to a good bit of podcasts. Find us on Spotify, Apple, wherever. Leave us a 5-star review. You guys are great. Appreciate you, Eric. We'll see you again next Monday. Everyone have a great week. Shout out to Dylan also in the background, keeping you guys safe and in line. If you get a little bit too raucous, hopefully not reason to be too upset raucous after the don't flex on us, Dylan. It scared me. It didn't make me flinch. But appreciate everyone. Have a great week. Hopefully it's a healthy practice and everything and game for the Broncos. Kindness and compassion as always. Go Broncos.